Hello fight fans, thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Belal Muhammad wouldn't mind moving up to fight Sean Strickland and slap him around. Moving on, Donald Trump cools down rhetoric towards Joe Rogan after RFK Jr. support. Next, Belal Muhammad reacts to Chicago TV anchor calling him a street fighter in bizarre interview. Lastly, Dana White reacts to Alex Pereira's call for UFC middleweight title shot. UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad still has beef with Sean Strickland and wouldn't mind sharing the octagon with him. Belal is the newly minted UFC welterweight champion, while Strickland is hoping to get the chance to become a two-time middleweight title holder. These two may be separated by a weight class, but there has been bad blood brewing between both sides. The two have hurled personal digs at one another on social media, and it doesn't appear things have slowed down. Muhammad is now saying that he'd share the octagon with Strickland if the opportunity presents itself. Here is what he said. I slap him around. I literally go in there and I slap him around. When I think of tough fights, Sean's not one of them. I think he would be an easy fight for me. He beats a lot of guys with cardio. I have better cardio than him. He beats a lot of guys with jabs. I have better boxing than him. He beats guys with teeps, but those guys, they fight him a certain way. They don't fight him smart. Costa backed up the whole time, and then he just took those teep kicks. Even with Adesanya, he backed up the whole time for the most part. Strickland is currently hoping to get a rematch with UFC middleweight champion Dricus du Plessis, the man who beat him for the 185-pound gold. Strickland has said that he doesn't want to fight until he gets a title rematch. Former US President Donald Trump has changed his tune on UFC commentator Joe Rogan following the broadcaster's public support for Robert F. Kennedy. Rogan, a longtime UFC analyst, recently had some positive things to say about Kennedy before the independent presidential candidate withdrew from the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Kennedy has since endorsed Trump before the Republican candidate's battle against U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. Despite the podcaster never formally endorsing a presidential candidate, Trump was critical of Rogan's perceived endorsement of Kennedy. He hinted that Rogan would be booed during his next appearance at a UFC event. After Kennedy joined forces with Trump, the former president changed course on his belittling of Rogan. During a recent appearance on the Lex Fridman podcast, Trump pivoted on his fiery remarks towards Rogan. Here's what he said. Well, I don't think there was any tension. I've always liked him, but I don't know him. I've only seen him when I walk into the arena with Dana White and I shake his hand. I see him there. I think he's good at what he does, but I don't know about doing his podcast. I guess I'd do it, but I haven't been asked and I'm not asking them. I'm not asking anybody. It's not really a negotiation. And he's sort of a liberal guy, I guess, from what I understand. But he likes Kennedy. This was before he came in with us, and he's going to be great. But I like that he likes Kennedy. He's a different kind of a guy, but he's got some great things going. One of UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad's post-UFC 304 interviews didn't go according to plan in his native Chicago. Muhammad earned the UFC welterweight title by defeating Leon Edwards by unanimous decision in Manchester. In the aftermath of his UFC 304 title win, Muhammad received a hero's welcome in Chicago. But an interview with WGN News featured an awkward moment when one of the anchors implied that Muhammad was involved in street fighting. During a recent appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, Muhammad reflected on the awkward interview after winning the UFC welterweight title. Here's what he said. I did an interview with Chicago News, and the lady was like, she had no idea who I was. She was like, you're the champion of street fighting, right? It was wild. People still think that. I didn't realize there were still people out there that have that mindset. I'm looking at the teleprompter, and I feel like that's all they do. Just read the teleprompter. I was like, don't you have a sports anchor that could interview me or do a second of research? The flexibility the current UFC light heavyweight champion Pereira has expressed when it comes to weight classes has impressed promotion CEO Dana White. That includes the recent call-out of Dricus du Plessis by Pereira. Speaking to the media, here is what Dana White said. My take on him is, he's nasty. That's my take on him. He wants to move up. He wants to move down. He wants to go everywhere. That's why people love him. Those are the type of fighters people love. Pereira wants to fight everybody. I love it. It's a good problem to have with a guy like him. How about he's on vacation and accepts the last-minute fight? Everything about Alex Pereira is what makes fans absolutely love the guy. Pereira, 37, is currently booked to defend the promotion's light heavyweight title October 7th at UFC 307 versus Khalil Rountree. He previously held the UFC middleweight title. title. Du Plessis doesn't have a title fight booked, though Sean Strickland has been identified as the likely next challenger. He most recently competed August 17th when he defeated Israel Adesanya at UFC 305. White was non-committal to a potential matchup between Pereira and Du Plessis should they both win. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.